This video is going to be 5 things I wish I knew before I had my first out-of-body experience. Hope this one will be fun. I made a list so I can stay on track. There's way more than 5 things, but I think this will be a good start. See how this does. Number 1, you choose your connection. So if I really didn't know how this whole thing worked, it seemed random. I seemed to have constant experiences, flashes, flickers, hear voices, see things. I would lay down and have I'd be in one place or another place, or I'd get a different scene, different setting, and it seemed scattered and all over. And I was often naturally frightened, and took me some time as the events unfolded to shift my relationship to what was going on. I had to start with, wait a minute, no one's trying to kill me. God doesn't hate me. I'm not going crazy. What is this? And as I shifted, I would watch the scene alter. And over time, enough doing that taught me my connection, how I'm receiving the information, how I'm the state of mind and the state of being that I'm in filters the information that I get, and it becomes my state of being, my connection is the set point for the launching pad of the experience. If I'm full of fear and anxiety, and I have a lot of negative thoughts about the non-physical or even life, and then a connection opens up, that's what I'm going to pass through. And so the connection gets made conscious or unconsciously, because the connection happens. And then I would be out exploring with that flavor, that tone, that state of being, that connection. And so when I learned I can choose that connection, that's why mantras can be really helpful, or mantras can be helpful, but affirmations. I'm open to a connection with a being of equal or greater quality than myself. I'm open to learning about myself. I'm open to my own growth. I'm open to helping and healing others. I'm open to making a connection that's going to teach me something new about life and reality, that's going to make my life better, or the lives of the people's lives that are in my life better. And the connection itself, it's spoken words are great. They're fine. Writing it out is great, but it's really getting it from the mind into the body. Like going from, I think life is good, but being afraid, well, maybe life isn't so good, because you can't hide, right? The ego that thinks the thoughts isn't the part of us that does the exploration. The ego gets let go and dissolved, let go, and the being of who we are is what has the experience. So it's that I choose my connection always had to be part of my practice as I moved forward. That, wait a minute, I'm not just going to go somewhere without thinking about, okay, what am I doing? What's my goal? Now, I'm going to let everything go, and there's a lot of trust, a lot of letting go in the process. So it sounds like a bit of a paradox or a contradiction. But there is a way, like with practice, that you can have a clear intent at the being level and completely let go of the analytical mind. In fact, that's probably what the definition of an out-of-body experience. So that's number 1. Number 2, it's non-physical. And so be mindful of taking physical metaphors into the non-physical. So we're not in our bodies, but we interpret all of our information in our life like we are, because that's how we operate in physical reality. So we take things like, the one that struck me most was energy. Energy is a physical metaphor of a physical thing. I know there's a bit of a range. Let's start with electricity or energy. Electricity is, or frequency, are particles bouncing around and moving at different wavelengths. A wavelength is a physical metaphor. Electricity is a physical, it's a physical metaphor. It's particles, physical things moving around. The non-physical is called that because it's not physical. I'm not saying this to poo-poo on everybody's like physical metaphors. They're really good to communicate something that's a real experience. If I think in physical metaphors, when I go out of body, just to get there, to start, if I think I have to climb out of my body, or if I think I have to get out of my body, in the non-physical, the first thing I run into is the belief that I'm in my body and I have to get out. And then I'll wrestle with that. Now you can wrestle with it and have fun wrestling with it, and eventually you can get out and go do your thing. Faster to realize you're not in your body, and then change your perspective, choose a connection, and go do something else. Another example, I used to think that I had to fly to get somewhere. I had to fly, I had to travel. Well, it's not physical. You're not flying through air. There's no body moving from one place to another. So it's fun. It's great. Do it. It's amazing. I love it. But if you have things to do, then thinking of where you need to be or where you want to be, you shift your intent and you teleport and you're there. Or let's say you're in a room and you want to touch the wall. Or let's make it more fun. You're flying through the air and you see something interesting hundreds of feet down on the ground. I used to think I have to go fly down and go touch it. And then one time I just had the thought, I wonder what that water, I think it was grass. I wanted to feel the grass or something. I wanted to swoop down and touch the grass. And as I thought that, I instantly felt my hand touching the grass. And I yet again remembered or became aware, it's not physical. I'm not reaching a hand. There is no hand reaching out to touch grass. There is no grass. The thought of what does the grass feel like will get me that information. And this, you can extrapolate that in all sorts of ways. You can be in an environment and think of multiple things you want to be doing in that environment at the same time. I want to touch the ceiling, touch the wall. I want to taste that food. I want to touch that person, and I want to open that door. It can all happen at once with your mind. There's no body moving around a room. It's a non-physical environment giving you feedback that you're interpreting, and you can interact with it. But what I learned was to be mindful not to bring in my physical metaphors to the non-physical. And it's a never-ending process. Like every day I get reconditioned that this is physical, and then I take it with me and I have to uncondition it. Number 3, your body is not there. And this helps a lot around fear. So when when I've been like flying through trees, if I think I'm going to run into a tree, I flinch, I get afraid, I pull out, I let go. I'm back in my body sitting in my bed. Or if an object comes flying at me and I think my body is there, I flinch, I close my eyes, I run away. So holding in your awareness, being aware, knowing your body's not there, helps with the rock passes through you, the tree, you pass through the tree, you move through the wall. I heard a really funny story about this from Joe Dispenza. He was telling one of his out-of-body experiences at a workshop or at his retreat. And one of his first times, the story he tells, first time he got out, he got out, slipped out of his body, and as he was moving through the front wall to get outside, he had the thought, what if I get stuck? And he got stuck in the wall as he had the thought, because it's thought responsive. For a second, he thought, my body's there. I'm stuck in the wall. And he was. And I've been stuck in lots of things. Going through the ceiling. What if I get stuck? Oh, I'm stuck. Shit, how do I get out of this? Reset, change, or laugh about it. Like, it's all fun stuff to laugh about. Oh, I thought I was going to get stuck in something. Yep, you move right through it. So your physical body is not there. Even though it feels like it is. And it sounds crazy, but that's why we're talking about this, because this is just a different environment that you can experience in. And you don't have to have your physical body there. You don't have to imagine you're moving through things or you're flying, but it is fun to do to get enough evidence that it's like real. So it's not a bad idea. But for me, I had to really remind myself my body is not there. Number 4, fear is always the test. Probably should have been number 1. Fear is always the test, and it's always the first place to look when you run into a dead end. Asking myself, okay, what's the fear? What is the fear? What am I afraid of? What do I think is going to happen? How else can I approach the situation? Fear is always the test. And it sounds really simple, but it's why all the ancient texts and masters have said, like, love is always the answer. I think the subtext is fear is always the test. If I were to write a book, fear is the test, love is the answer. So fear is always the test. When in doubt, go back to what is my fear before creating really big stories about what you think just happened or what you think is happening to you. Really get clear, what is the fear? There's only so many. Like, the surface ones are like, I'm not good enough. No one's going to like me. I'm going to be alone. Underneath that tends to be, I'm afraid of dying. I don't want to die. It's also why the out-of-body experience is so expansive, because you start to experience more than being just your body. But I would ask myself, what is the fear? And I do that in all of my life. That is my number 1 question, to some people's frustration, because that's where I go first. And the last one connected to that for this little round is love is always the answer. Whatever the situation, if you want more of something, if you want to experience something, whatever it is, love is always the answer. So if you're in a challenging situation in the non-physical, you come back into yourself. I would shut down all the vectors of information that I'm receiving, close it all down, and I would find that deep center in myself where I was safe, and then I would choose love. And I had to wrestle. Sometimes I couldn't get there. Like, sometimes I just couldn't. Like, I'm not that good at it. I'm not grown up enough. Sometimes the fear was so strong I had to disconnect because I could not love my way through it. And then I would journal, I would reflect, and I would say, I'm going to go back in. I'm going to practice. And I could tell many, many stories of going back to the same situation, dozens, probably some of them hundreds of times. And I would just keep practicing until I could choose love. And when I got it good enough, the whole thing would flip and it would change. The whole dynamic would change. And I would feel, it just felt right. Like, the biggest, scariest monsters all of a sudden became something else. These situations that I thought I just could not get out of, I could not solve, all of a sudden the problem wasn't there, or they all flipped how they perceived me. And if I bring it all back together, of it's thought responsive. And it's not the ego thoughts alone, the surface thoughts, it's our thoughts at our being level. This whole experience is a journey inward, and most of us have no idea who we are. We think the image that we've built to show everybody else off, the happy guy, the nice guy, the guy who goes, buys drinks and gets drunk and does this and does that, all the surface stuff has very little to do with who we are at a being level. Going into these practices will confront you with who you are. And it's very personal. And it's done, I believe, it's done with love. It's done to help us grow. It's going to reflect back things that we don't know about ourselves consciously. And if we're willing to face it and go through the fear, face it with love, there's endless layers of growth and opportunity and experiences waiting on the other side. All right, those are my 5 things that I thought of before I sat down. And if it's interesting, I can share more. I'll see you next time.